So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iPhone 8 now. So the iPhone 8 has been on the market for over a year, and I've covered the iPhone 8 Plus, the 6S Plus, also the 7, and a couple Galaxy devices. A couple people were asking, what about the smaller iPhone 8? That one is even less than the iPhone 8 Plus. It still has the A11 chipset. Is this guy still worth it here right now? You can find it in the low fours third party. You can also find it at Apple cheaper than ever before, although it's a much better deal if you just find a third party. I'm seeing it on eBay for in the low fours, on Amazon refurbished right under 500. So is this phone still worth it? Let's find out. Okay, so what about the iPhone 8 when it comes to its design? So it's an iPhone 6 with a glass back here on the rear. I did chip the glass a little bit up here by the camera. I'm not sure if the camera's picking that up, but it's the more refined version of a 6S, an iPhone 7, or like I say, an iPhone 6. It definitely doesn't feel super modern in comparison to an iPhone XR, XS, or XS Max, or even the iPhone 10, but it still suffices as a pretty solid feeling iPhone, even better than the older ones. And most phones now do have glass on the front and the back, so it doesn't feel ultra outdated when it comes to the materials. It just feels outdated when it comes to the way it looks. You do have very thick bezels here up at the top and the bottom, and for the price at least Apple's charging, this definitely steers me away from recommending you to pick it up at Apple Store. So if you find a third party at a good deal, it could still be okay. Now that little chip there is on my screen protector. That's not on the phone itself, if anybody was wondering. But overall, there's not really much to say about this design. It's an iPhone 6 refined. That's about all I can say. I mean, it still can crack easily. It has a glass back and front, even more so than an aluminum back, which wouldn't crack so easy, and it's not super cheap to fix that back, so do put this one in a case. The sides do hold up well as they are aluminum, and overall I think if you do keep it protected, it'll be fine. But really, it's going to be subjective whether you can deal with its older design, and if you like it and you love the Touch ID, you just love the 16:9 standard aspect ratio, you will still love the iPhone 8's design. But if you don't and you like the more modern looks, then definitely this one you might want to steer clear of right now. Okay, so what about the iPhone 8's display now? We're talking about 4.7-inch Retina display, up to 326 pixels per inch. It definitely gets bright enough. That's one thing I will say about the iPhone 8's display. Never had too much of an issue with the brightness. It does support True Tone, and it does have night shift. It also does give you 3D touch here on the panel, so that's not a big issue either. I actually do enjoy having 3D touch basically on any iPhone. That is always fun to have here, and the iPhone 8 doesn't disappoint there. Now, where the iPhone 8 doesn't shine too much would be in contrast ratio. So if you do like your OLED screens, you're definitely not gonna like the iPhone 8, but the iPhone 8 has a really great LCD, and it's definitely nothing that I think is gonna disappoint anybody. It's just that if you're not into the standard just boxy square displays that you find on the iPhone 8, it's a 16:9 panel. It's not gonna have those sexy, edge to edge type of design, then you'll be fine here with the iPhone 8. For me, I actually enjoy the LCD. I just like the 8 Plus is a little bit more because it's just sharper than the iPhone 8. This is like the iPhone XR's display when it comes to its overall sharpness, although the XR's display does seem to get a little bit brighter than the iPhone 8 in my experience, but you don't get 3D touch like you get here for the iPhone 8. And I do have to admit that I do like watching videos on the iPhone 8 because of the 16:9, but what I don't like is that the display is just kind of small in comparison to what else is available on the market. When it comes to video watching, this is not the best pick just because of the size of the display alone. But overall, I think video watching is just fine if you can deal with the size, but likely you're kind of probably buying this because of that size. So just be aware that there are larger displays for video, and LCD is not going to give you the most vibrant contrast when you're watching movies like on Netflix or anything like that, but it should be fine for your everyday YouTube videos and stuff like that. So let me know overall your take on the display of the iPhone 8. Do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's just trash? Let me know your take down below in the comments. So of course, the iPhone 8 does run the latest software now, and it's going to continue to run the latest software going forward. iOS 12 has gotten updated on the iPhone 8 multiple times, and this phone just consistently gets updated just like every other iPhone. This basically just cleaned up iOS 11, and it kept this phone just running really smooth most of the time. So really lag's not an issue. There's not really much to say when it comes to software. iOS is iOS. I mean, it's clean. They put the control center at the bottom here because there's no, pull down from the right side like on the iPhone 10. It's a grid of icons on the home screen. You got the App Store, you got Siri shortcuts, you got the improved screen time mode here, the improved battery section in iOS 12. And overall, it's just got plenty of features that just refine on iOS 11, but there's nothing drastically changed over the core iOS experience, just a lot more stable than ever before. So definitely software is a strong suit for this phone if you can live with the iOS limitations that you definitely get when getting an Apple iPhone. However, right now, going into the future, the iPhone 8 definitely is one I could recommend when it comes to software. It's going to continue to get updated for years and years to come. So right now, if you buy the iPhone 8, when it comes to camera, I think you're doing yourself a pretty good favor here. This camera is not bad at all. It does have 12 megapixels and it shoots up to 4K 60 here. So that's 4K 60 frames per second. It's an f1.8 lens, wide angle. You don't have your dual lens here for telephoto, so that's a drawback of the iPhone 8. It is a quad LED flash here, so very bright flash. And on the front, you do have yourself a 7 megapixel sensor up here on the front. That does 1080p on the front camera. And overall, I think that it definitely doesn't offer the great dynamic range of the newer iPhones, but the camera itself is the core software you're used to from Apple iPhones, and has very fast shutter, has square mode, panorama, all your basics that you'll need. And it's basically, I think, a camera pretty much anyone can use. Now, I really don't like how you have to dig into settings to get to the other camera settings, but I don't want to talk too much about the camera. We already know what these are capable of. They do a pretty good job at just pointing and shooting. And let me know if right now you think, based on these samples I'm about to show you with the iPhone 8, if this camera is still worth it. Check them out. Moving on to audio quality. Galaxy Note 9, for example, this one feels like the most, luxurious of all of them. So definitely giving the crown to the XS. The iPhone 8 definitely doesn't disappoint. It got louder than the iPhone 7, and it wasn't too easy to cover the speakers. Now, what was disappointing is that the iPhone 8 doesn't have a headphone jack. However, that was gone on the 7, but if you came from something earlier, that's rather disappointing. However, we're already used to that, I think, by now, maybe, with the iPhones. Overall, the external audio is great. There's really nothing to complain about there. Now, the Bluetooth connections, I can admit, are much faster to connect over Bluetooth 5.0 than previous editions of this type of iPhone. So you will like the speed at which it does connect to, say, AirPods or some other headphones. Right now, the iPhone 8 is definitely average for me when it comes to phone for audio, as it only offers good external audio. So this to me is just average when it comes to audio. So moving on to battery life with the iPhone 8, right now if you're to pick this up, I can tell you that it's definitely pretty good for a smaller device. I wasn't really disappointed in it compared to, say, like I say, the iPhone 6 or even the iPhone 7. This one definitely improved on those. However, this is not going to be an all day long lasting, like really gonna stretch into the next day type of phone. It's definitely one you gotta charge every single night, but it's not one that I think is gonna let you down through a normal, regular every day. However, if you're going hard on it, you're charging it halfway through the day. Heavy users, just stay away. You're definitely not gonna make it through a day if you're a heavy user with this one. Although iOS does give you a nice battery breakdown here, I do recommend low power mode if you want to extend that even further. However, this does give you a hit on performance just a little bit. Right now, the battery life on the iPhone 8 is good. It's not great, it's just good for me. And if you're to buy it right now, you're getting through most of the day on a regular day, heavy use half the day for the iPhone 8. So moving on to call quality, this phone definitely shines here. I haven't had too much issues with the reception as well as the phone calls. Also having the external dual speakers is a benefit for the iPhone 8 when it comes to that call quality. So overall, pretty good here. I'm not actually disappointed at all with the iPhone 8, and I don't think you will be either when it comes to this aspect of the device. So is the iPhone 8 worth it now? We discussed basically every aspect of this phone, and I can tell you right now that I think a lot of people are just skipping over this because the XR, they're just going straight to that. Also, there's other options on the Android land for the same price that can be much more compelling to people, but it doesn't run iOS, which is the big deal here on the iPhone 8. Now, to me, this is just basically your average iPhone. And if you want an average good iPhone, this one will be just fine for you. It's crazy to say that because just a few years ago, this would be super high end. However, there's just so much competition. There's so much offerings. There's even cheaper phones than this that run just about as fast as this device. So at the end of the day, for this money, I do think the iPhone 8 is still a good phone. And if you can find it under, I say $450, it's not a bad go on this one, but any more than that, it's just probably not worth it for the iPhone 8. Let me know your thoughts on the iPhone 8. I think it's a pretty good phone overall, but I want to hear your thoughts. Comment them down below. Do you have one? Are you not trading it anytime soon? Or are you thinking about getting a new iPhone? Did you already trade it in? I'd love to hear that. And if you found this helpful, entertaining, informing, click the like button for me. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for more. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I will catch you all in the next one, and peace.